Hello, welcome back to my channel. Another day, another rebirth. I hope all is well. I hope you're loving yourself and I hope you're letting yourself be loved. Now, when a lot of people talk about loving yourself, it's like bathing in flowers, spa, meditation, nails done, hair done, everything done. But today we're going to talk about the grief, the shadow work. We're going to talk about cutting people off, but specifically we're going to talk about the mother womb, because sometimes that cord that needs to be cut is the umbilical cord, if you catch what I'm saying. Now the mother womb, right, the concept or theory that trauma impacts the child for the rest of their life, specifically the trauma left by an abusive and unaware mother, neglectful and absent mother. Now we know that other family members can leave wounds, right? But specifically today we're going to talk about the mother womb. I will be looking down at my notes from time to time because this video is a lot for me. I'm no therapist, so most of this is coming from my experience and how the mother womb impacted my life and my relationships. It took me a long time to see that my mother was a villain in my life. I was always angry, hard-headed, disrespectful. She used to call me hateful. She used to call me mean. And I internalized that so much to when I went from being a loud, outspoken child who knew she was being disrespected to someone completely silent about all of her mistreatment, because I wanted my mother to see me as a good daughter, and even if that meant silencing myself. And I got used to people not liking me or disrespecting me. I got used to disrespect because if my own mother doesn't treat me like love, treat me like she loves me, doesn't treat me with respect, then it's just normal, right? I went in spaces not expecting respect or love or gentleness, because that's not what I've known. So it led to me forming friendships with girls that absolutely hated my guts, because that was my relationship with the women in my family, or at least the one that was supposed to be my rock, right? Even in romantic relationships, I let my insecurities and the thoughts that my mother put into my head about myself align me with people who treated me as if I was worthless. That is how my mother is present. Her energy is present in all of my relationships, or at least was. Now, I had some healthy relationships where they would be like, yo, this mother lady, she gotta go. And I'd be like, that's my mom, that's my... And they'd be like, if she don't go, then I will. And I didn't understand. And then you're gonna have some people in your ear when you finally get a backbone say, hey, that's your mama, you only have one of them. But it's not until you had enough where you're gonna be like, yo, this isn't right. It's only gonna be up to you. You have to be the person holding yourself accountable in your life. You have to be the one taking your power back, because people can be in your ear telling you what they believe all you want, not until you see your worth and understand who you are, and understand that your mother is a person, not just your mother. She was a person before you got here, and sometimes you might not like that person. That's the God honest truth, because while people are in your ear saying, oh, you only have one mother, where were they your whole life where you were being abused and neglected, telling her that she only had one you. Yeah, you may have siblings, but they're not you. They're not you. Y'all all had individual experiences. No one was stepping in for you. Now people playing peacemaker while they're just enabling and coddling. It's a long road to understanding, and sometimes you even have to dive deeper into the family dynamics, because now I see her relationship with her mother, and trust me, it all makes sense now. But I have to call my power back and say, I'm going to be the one that doesn't participate in this. The dynamic with my kids are going to be different, and in order for that to be different, I have to change something in the present, right? Because now she's bleeding into every relationship I've ever had. Because, like I said, I'm believing the things that she projected onto me. I'm believing the things that she lied to me about myself, and I'm carrying those with me everywhere I go. I'll walk in the room with my grief and my shame. That leads, not my confidence, my shame. Because my mother said it must be true. It must be true. So I'm carrying this in every friendship situation that I have, and it's leading me to be anxious to the point where I'm like, oh my God, everyone's gonna leave me. My mother was never there, so why would anybody else be there? So now I'm self-sabotaging because I don't believe I'm worthy, and I don't believe anybody could ever put up with me. I don't believe anyone could ever be present in my life without me trying to be perfect. Now I'm auditioning for love because I had to audition for my mother my whole entire life and not even get a response worth a damn. Then after I figure out auditioning doesn't work, now I'm avoiding. I don't need friends. This doesn't matter. I went my whole life without a stable relationship with my mother. I can do without. I can go without. That is a painful cycle to be in, because at both ends, you're cheating yourself out of a life of community. You're cheating yourself out a life of love, because what you think is love really isn't. I tell a lot of people, you're scared of love, but really you're scared of abuse cosplaying as love, because you had that done to you before, especially by someone close to you, like your mother, like your father. They've cosplayed as people who love you because they gave you things that you needed. That's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. And why accept the bare minimum from someone when you can give that to yourself? So accepting the bare minimum from someone who's going to sprinkle in a little abuse, a little manipulation, a little gaslighting, a little projection, maybe even a little jealousy that you're living the life that they wanted, but they were in their own painful cycles that they couldn't have. I see a lot of my friends deal with that with their mother, that they can't even wish them well because she's caught up in her own cycle, and she hates to see her own seed fulfilling their dreams. It's a thing. It's a thing that shouldn't be a thing, but as long as we have trauma, and as long as we have family members that are not addressing these traumas, sweeping abuse under the rug, we're going to have mother wounds. And yes, you can understand that your mother did the best that she could, but sometimes the best still isn't good enough. You can honor your inner child by giving yourself your basic needs, tapping into what your inner child wanted, what they couldn't have, understanding what truly happened to you and how that pours into your day-to-day life. Because until we understand and address what really happened, we can't grow and move on, because now you're sweeping things in a rug and now you're carrying the weight of it all. Some of you are carrying the weight of generations and generations behind you and their mothers. And you have to make a decision to heal that, whether that means going to therapy, whether that means ancestral veneration, journaling, whatever that means to you, but you have to address it. And yes, we can wait on the apologies from our mothers forever, and they may come, but they'll never be perfect. You know what I'm saying? You have to get to a point where this is who she is. I either love her like this and shape the way I am so that it matches what she is. And I don't mean like change yourself. I mean, you know how they say some friends are meant for going out, some friends are meant for church, some friends are meant for deeper things, some are just surface level friends. You need to decide what type of mother that she is and accept that and love her for that, or decide that I don't, if you can't be exactly what I want you to be, then I don't need you to be there for me at all, and you gotta go. Whatever works for you, and you have to be honest about whatever works for you. But you have to know that wherever your mother is, there's still work to be done on your side. No matter if she's in your life, you can't say, okay, I'm gonna pretend to that none of these things ever happened to me because I want her here. You have to still commit to healing, whether she's there or not, whether she comes around or not, because the trauma is still there. I'm saying this because there will be times in my life where my mama will be cut off, I mean blocked from my phone, but then I'll be like, okay, I'm ready to talk to her again, but neglect all my shadow work just because she's there. So I'm like, okay, she's forgiven. No, darling, you have to keep going. You have to keep the therapy sessions. You have to keep the journal. You have to keep writing the poetry, because that is how you heal, and that is how you move on. Now, you don't get to decide if another grown ass woman heals or not, because you have to literally decide, okay, if she never goes to therapy, that's okay with me. If she never admits she's wrong, she was wrong, that's okay with me. And decide what you want to do with that. And even making this video right now, I'm breathing so heavily. I'm having to stop and pause so many times because I feel like I'm doing something wrong, because I've been taught to shut up. You only have one mother. Stop being mean. Stop being crazy. When I speak up about the things that happen to me, when I stand up for myself, it feels like I'm committing a sin. Like literally, because I'm telling my truth. And sometimes it's hard to tell my truth because I fear how other people in my life will be seen. Well, this is what happened to me, and I can't continue to hold on to it, because that's not good for my mental or physical health. And maybe someone will feel seen in all of this chaos, all of this grief that I am in, because I'm realizing that I cannot be who a lot of my family members, especially my mother, want me to be. She'll call me and she'll see one of my old friends from high school and be like, oh, she's doing great, maybe you should do what she's doing. And I'm like, that is not my calling. And she will never be happy about the path that I chose to walk, because I guess she doesn't understand it. And I feel guilty for choosing myself sometimes. I feel guilty for saying some of the things that happened to me, because, you know, no one wants people to look at your family like, what the? But hey, it wasn't me, it was them. This, I don't know, it just feels weird. But I know that it's not wrong. It feels weird because I have been taught to silence myself. I have been taught to stand in the background and take the abuse and watch the abuse of others. I'm so glad that I no longer do that. What brought this on is crazy, is because, like in the last video, I told you I had a huge burn on my thighs. Second-degree burn is healing up very well, but it was one day where I was just so in pain. I couldn't shower, I couldn't walk, couldn't brush my own teeth, I couldn't eat properly. And I called my mother. I was like, you know, I need to be home with my grandmother. And she's like, all you gotta do is Uber Eats. All you gotta do is Uber Eats. Like, what are you calling me, telling me for? You should be thanking God that it wasn't third degree. And I made up my mind in that very phone call that I was walking away from that life. I know that my spirits, I know that God would never hurt me, but that burn was so divinely chaotic because I saw so many things. I saw so many things. I felt so many things. I learned so many things. Ironically, it was under a full moon. It was a canon event. I didn't think it was going to be this big, but it showed me my strength, and it showed me that the kind of help I need is going to come from God. And I keep depending on a lot of my family, especially my mother, to show up for me, when it's going to be God. It's going to be Creator. Even though I do need community, and it shows me that I need better community and better chosen family. I need a chosen family rather than blood related strangers. And I'm going to go get that. Because if I ever injure myself again, I'm going to have better things and better people around me. God forbid I injure myself like this again. But I'm deciding to end the cycle. And if you were drawn to this video, if you relate to any of this in this video, I pray that you end that cycle. I pray that you speak up for yourself, even if that means telling who harmed you what they did and not accepting an apology. Sometimes you just got to get off your chest. I pray that you call your power back to you fiercely and swiftly. I pray that you stay in that power for the rest of your life, and you cut off any connections that are not well, that do not nurture you. And unfortunately, some of those connections will be mother to daughter, mother to son. I wish you all the best. Peace.